Hi, everybody, and thanks for attending today's event, Roadmap and Product Updates. My name is Raisa, and I'm a member of the marketing team at Progress. Before I turn it over to our speakers, I have a couple of housekeeping items to cover. If you have any questions, you can submit them in the Q&A section at any time. These questions will be answered at the end of the event. If additional clarification or a deep dive would be beneficial, then your respective account team will reach out and schedule a follow-up call with you. For the best viewing experience, we recommend closing any additional programs or browser sessions running in the background, as Zoom events are bandwidth intensive. And finally, this event is being recorded and the recording will be shared with you by tomorrow end of the day. So let's go ahead and get started. Over to you, Sharan.
Sure. Thank you, Reza, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharan Riker. I represent the product management group within Progress. Today we will have a brief introduction to the product management group within the Progress. We'll do a quick recap of some of our achievements, some of our key deliverables that we kind of introduced in 2020. We will also walk through the roadmap priorities for 2021, some of which we have already shipped already. And then towards the end, we will take up any questions you may have. A very quick few words about Progress. Progress has been providing the best of the products aimed specifically at the high impact business applications in the form of the digital experience. We basically cater to automate the entire journey or the process of configuring, developing, managing, as well as scaling these high impact applications, both on-prem as well as on the cloud. And this is in fact the reason why there are close to 1,700 software vendors, 100,000 enterprise customers, close to 3 million strong developer community, and 6 million strong business users have all been moving their businesses to Progress and have all been working with us for close to 40 years now. Again, some of the key pointers with respect to the Progress and the Chef collaboration and the acquisition. Chef has always been a pioneer in terms of DevOps and the DevSecOps space. Has helped multiple companies, in the path towards digital transformation, as well as has helped multiple developers ease their DevOps journey. And this combination of Progress and Chef really brings together two strong teams who basically have very powerful legacies and with a stronger team of amazing employees. And really our focus with the two groups coming together and with the acquisition is to kind of build on the Chef's momentum as well as accelerate on the Progress growth. We definitely will be continued to our commitments to our customers in terms of the open source community, and we will be very actively involving ourselves in the community collaboration. We will continue to keep our source code open going forward as well. We are also focusing on introducing some of the new structures, resources as part of this acquisition. So we are able to invest in areas and drive innovation and ease of use across several offerings that we offer. Just a very quick standard disclosure from our end. And we'll go ahead and meet the product management group. So the product management group is headed by Prashant Nanjundappa, and he's kind of overall looking at the product management, product operations, as well as the UX group. Product operations is led by Laura Polland, and Laura is responsible for setting up engineering processes, helping in the launch of products, ensuring adoption of the products by our user base, also kind of ensuring some level of feedback is encountered in the product planning as well. She is also responsible for the AHA concept, which is basically the AHA idea portal, wherein customers get an option to submit their ideas and help us in the product planning exercise. Mark Dennard leads the user experience group, and we have around 4 designers reporting to Mark Dennard. And moving on to the other product managers who report to Prashant, Tim Smith leads the infra server and the client communication. Lokesh, who will be speaking later, will be he's responsible for the compliance aspect. Sudarshan heads the workstation marketplace. Trevor is responsible for app delivery. And Ankur is responsible for Chef Automate. And finally, Nishal has been responsible for desktop, and which is one of a new offering. And we have started doing some research on how we can make the product much better at the desktop end. So a very quick recap of some of the things we accomplished in 2020. And we have kind of bucketed that into different areas. So specifically with respect to time to value and visibility, one of our key focus was always to make the product that much more simpler as well as easier to use, helping customers to get started in a very, very short period of time. And that's the reason we introduced a unified command line interface where Workstation and some of the other tools now have a very common unified interface for all the products, infra, inspec, as well as Habitat. Another feature that we introduced was the YAML configuration. A lot of feedback that we received from customers was they wanted to have a simpler way of writing recipes. And with Chef Infra 16, we introduced YAML configuration where a customer can get started writing simpler recipes in YAML, but to really harness the complete capability of Chef Infra, he may have to eventually move on to, kind of utilize Ruby DSL going ahead. We also built a very robust library of certified compliance content. We added support for more operating systems as well as applications in our content library. We made a ton of performance improvements related to PowerShell, and we kind of handled dependencies well over the last year that helped us kind of generally improve our performance requirements. Apart from that, we have also certified Automate, which is our reporting or visibility dashboard for VPAT, which basically evaluates how accessible Automate is with respect to Section 508 accessibility standards. We'll continue to take feedback in this area. We will keep improving as in when we get opportunity to do so. One of the last aspect we introduced was the concept of Upgrade Lab, wherein we created tooling as part of Workstation. This was really to help customers move their cookbooks from an older version in Chef Infra to the latest version, and that's something which we have received good feedback from customer as well. We've also introduced a number of different enterprise IT requirements. We have normalized our deployment patterns for our various offerings, again, to make things more easier and consistent in terms of usability. We announced GA of a comprehensive Chef Automate identity and access management capability, which encompasses the role-based access control as well. This will help customers to really scope out their Automate work in terms of teams as well as projects and help in the overall system management aspect. It also adds an additional layer of security as well, if we consider that way. We launched also our integration with CMDB, which is the ServiceNow CMDB. So every time Chef Infra or the Chef Inspec collects information about a system, we send the data from Automate to ServiceNow CMDB app, in addition to Chef Automate. So this was specifically required for companies who had inspect needs and who really wanted to kind of consider any changes which may happen in their chef posture or chef security posture, and they can automatically log that into CMDB. We also provided an end-to-end tested stack, which is basically we kind of enhanced our testing abilities. We included more scenarios, more end scenarios for our code to be more bug-free. We also kind of have a now team completely looking into the testing frameworks, just to kind of ensure that there is a high quality product that's coming out. In terms of Habitat, we also introduced application rollback. So in case some of the upgrades are not going the way that we want to, you can actually gently roll back them. And we also added some of the supervisor configuration to make things easier for folks to manage. In terms of cloud native SaaS and subscription services, we built a kind of a portfolio of a premium content, which is not just looking at audit, but we also kind of looked at the remediation aspects as well. And we continue to add more contents in the financial year 21 as well. Apart from that, what we, with respect to Chef Automate, whether there are inspect scan runs or the config management reports, these data may not be persisted in Automate for a very long period of time. By default, it's around 60-day period, but this may, kind of be configurable. But eventually, the customers may want to, kind of send the data to a third-party solution. And for that reason, we also introduced a new API in the data path service to enable customers access the data. And finally, we've also expanded our ability to manage and define compliance policies for cloud resources. That's also another key step that we took in 2020. In terms of security and compliance, one of the key aspects we introduced was the waivers. And what waivers really help companies to do is if there is a specific control within a profile that they do not want to, that they want to be waived off for a particular period of time, or they do not want to, solve it, or if that particular control does not matter for a particular business unit, they can actually waive off that particular control. The same will be indicated in the Automate. They can eventually, reverse that and reverse that particular at a later point of time. But this was one of the key features that we introduced last year. Apart from that, as I mentioned, our premium content now is responsible for both audit as well as remediation, and we have improvised on a number of frameworks on both CIS as well as TIG, and we have kind of improvised and built a number of profiles and resource packs there. What we also did was kind of have a fine-tuned roadmap where we kind of separated out we kind of introduced a separate roadmap for the various profiles and cookbooks. We in fact now have a roadmap which is dedicated to the profiles with audit and remediate very clearly called out. So that was something that we actually carried out, and it's been quite useful to enable customers to really visualize what they would be getting at the end of every quarter. Apart from that, in some of the additional offerings, as I mentioned, desktop was one of the new offering that we introduced. And in terms of desktop, what we really saw is a number of the customers, they started utilizing infra and the inspect to manage their IT. So we basically productized this into a desktop offering. We introduced a view in Automate, and we built a number of content around it to manage desktop configuration. And this is specifically helpful for companies who want to manage their IT now from a remote location. And if they have certain compliance requirements, they can use the content and introduce that particular content within their IT workloads. We also went into a concept of a workload-based workload-aligned offerings, where we kind of focused on our capabilities more specifically for around the problems that we solve, and so we could now have specific binaries created for specific use case we're trying to solve. So with that, let's move on to some of the key priorities for 2021. And from the various areas that we have, if you look into the infrastructure management, the biggest focus here is definitely to kind of ensure our customers use infra very seamlessly. Our focus is to make it kind of easier to get started. We also want to improve the security, and we have already introduced a number of enhancements there, specifically around Chef Infra, Chef Client communication aspects. It may also be with the security headers, storing keys, and things like that. We also want to improve some of the aspects related to integration with security tools for better secrets management, provide an improved platform support. Some of these have already been addressed as part of our Chef Infra 17 release. That's something that we are working very, that's something that we released recently, and a number of other particular capabilities in infra management will come over the rest half of the year. In terms of compliance, a number of functionalities have come up on the InSpec aspects. Again, we want to expand or maintain our cloud scanning capabilities outside InSpec. We want to provide a specific SLA for content updates. So when the the standard providers, whether it is the CIS or STIG, when they make an update, we have a very well-defined SLA, and we kind of meet that particular SLA of updating our content and being in tune with the standard provider. We're also looking to pilot a new offering specifically for the cloud compliance aspect. On desktop, as I mentioned, one of the new offerings that we introduced, we want to deliver changes needed to support Big Sur macOS release as well as Apple M1 Silicon. So we continue with some of the changes happening there. We're also integrating with an MDM provider, again, for easier management from the Chef Infra client. App delivery, which is basically the Habitat. Again, here we want to focus on some of the key customer commitments that needs to be addressed in the first half of 2021. With respect to shared platform and services, which basically encompasses Chef Automate and Hosted Chef, we want to expand with respect to integration with Chef Infra by introducing some of the additional views. We have kind of enabled some of the read-only views already on environments, roles, data bags, and a couple of other aspects. We continue to work on the edit views on some of the Chef Infra server objects. Apart from that, node views, policy file views, as well as expanding the user management capabilities within Chef Automate. That's something that we're working on very closely. We also want to make the HA offering available more as a self-serve mode. So let me dive into the individual offerings here. And when we specifically look at Chef Infrastructure Management, as I mentioned, the whole idea about Chef Infra Management is to ensure that our customers get a very quick, easy start to start using Chef Infra. And here, some of the new capabilities that we're looking at is definitely to improve on the product security aspect and to expand our platform. And in terms of the infrastructure management, a few features that we introduced, one of them is the aspect about the client key storage, where we are working on moving the client PEM file into Windows Certificate Store or the Mac OS keychain. And this is something that we're doing to avoid customers storing the keys on the disk for compliance requirements. Knife will not be part of the Chef packages, and this is for the security reasons. It will ship in workstation. This will eventually reduce a lot of dependencies. It will reduce the package size. It will also be easier to maintain Knife. And the third capability is we are basically upgrading all of the components in the Chef Infra server to the latest version. This will help us in terms of security. It will also help us in some of the future enhancements. So Java, Ruby, Rails, Postgres, Elasticsearch, all these components are being subjected to upgrades. With MTLS in InfraServer, we want to make sure that it's not just the clients who are verifying the communication with the servers, but we provide an opportunity for the server to validate the client keys against a certificate authority for additional layer of security. Specifically, this would be useful whenever clients run on untrusted areas, especially outside the data center. Specifically, whenever cookbooks are stored in AWS S3 bucket instead of a Chef Infra server, we want to introduce the new signature V4 method that was introduced by AWS, and now we will use that particular mechanism for authenticating AWS S3 requests, and this will provide an additional security over the previous signature versions. With the Apple M1 processor support, we introduced native builds for Apple's new processor architecture. This was helpful in increasing the performance of the system. With Chef Infra 17, we introduced the Chef Infra compliance phase, and this is where we replaced the existing audit cookbooks, enabling customers to have compliance and audit reporting using Chef Inspect Engine as part of the Chef Infra client run. So when you run, when customers, what this enables is customers can now not only run their existing infrastructure management code, but they can also run the Chef Inspect compliance code using a single development process, using a single pipeline. As I mentioned, with respect to the infra-state dashboards on the Chef Automate, this is where we introduced a number of capabilities. We introduced the read-only views. We have built some of the edit views, as well as we've also started work on the node views and some of the user management capabilities. So moving on to the shared platform services. As I mentioned, shared platform services, we have both Automate as well as the hosted Chef products. And here really our focus is to provide a uniform platform view for customers across the Chef offerings. Also make it easier for customers to pull the data out of this particular platforms and utilize it in their own specific way. So some of the key features that would be part of 2021, one of them is specifically the aspect of the infra server view within Automate, which is basically, as I mentioned, we are introducing a number of Chef Manage capabilities within Automate. Chef Manage as a product would be end of life, end of year 2022, which is basically the next year. And a number of the capabilities within Chef Manage have been moved to the Chef Automate. We have introduced the read-only views for environments, data roles, data bags, and a couple of other components. Edit views have also been introduced, and we continue to work on the node views, the policy file views, as well as the user management capability. These are all some of the things that we are planning to cover with respect to the infrastructure view within Automate. Again, with respect to Automate, we want to upgrade some of the components such as Elasticsearch, Postgres, Ruby, and a number of other components, and this will help us reduce some of the known vulnerabilities. Apart from that, we are also looking to solve some of the infra-server connectivity issues and improve upon the stability with respect to our backend cluster. With respect to data path, we already GA'd ServiceNow CMDB integration app, but we want to focus on improving the scalability aspects here based on the customer feedback. We're also looking to support Splunk, Kibana, and Elk integration from Automate UI. With respect to vulnerability scanning, and it's basically a shift in the approach that we are taking, where we are becoming more reactive here, and we are kind of also started to partner with a few vendors here to help us in scanning of the code base. And we want to kind of solve certain code-based vulnerabilities, and we want to kind of take a more reactive approach here rather than customers indicating vulnerabilities and we solving it much later. With respect to secrets management, this is basically a long-term solution where we want to manage secrets across automate config files and storage spaces, including Vault. And with respect to session management, again, our focus is to have ability to manage sessions across local SAML as well as LDAP in a very scalable fashion, both for on-prem as well as cloud offerings. Data backup is a very key area. Specifically, we're working on Azure data storage, data retention, as well as we are looking in terms of restoring from the latest backup. There are some of the capabilities we are introducing in this particular aspect as well. And over the next half of 2021, we are looking at a simplified productized HA offering. And this is basically our replacement for Chef backend. It allows you to have a HA automatic cluster, and it's something that we want to provide out of the box where customers can have more self-serve on-prem as well as cloud deployments. We have a significant presence in Azure as well as AWS Marketplace, and we are kind of upgrading images specifically related to Automate here. We're also looking to introduce some of the capabilities around billing. Progress has typically been more of a Slack notification company, but we've slowly want to kind of introduce notifications within MS Teams as well. That's something we are working on. And finally, Hosted Chef, which is basically our SaaS product dedicated more towards the Chef infra. This is where we are looking to make some of the changes on our payment gateway, which will help us in more of a continued self-serve payment. So let me move on to some of the capabilities within Automate that we have introduced or that we are planning to introduce. And one of the key aspects is the infra server introduction within Automate. And this is basically the Chef Manage infra server capabilities that we want to introduce in Automate. As I mentioned, Chef Manage is end of the life. And we are moving a number of those capabilities within Chef Manage to Chef Automate. We've delivered read-only views of cookbooks, roles, environments, and data bags. We've also made edit views, which is basically for environments and data bags. We've made that available. We are also working on the policy file tab views, as well as user management parity between users of Chef Manage and Chef Automate. Again, our commitment here is to bring in as much functionality as possible from Chef Manage to Automate, but since these are two different products, it would be difficult for us to have a one-to-one mapping. But we want to basically focus on solving the key use cases here. So some of the aspects like permission and admin tab views may be skipped, but there may be alternate views around this within Automate. Moving on to a simplified product HA offering, and here we are looking to introduce a self-serve A2HA capability. This is an alternative to existing Chef Infra Server, Chef Backend users. Chef Backend is again end of life 2022. And with respect to a simplified HA offering, we are looking to kind of have a very detailed, verbose installation documentation on how users can actually deploy A2HA specifically on standard public clouds as well as on their on-prem environments. We plan to include a number of troubleshooting scenarios here. We plan to introduce some of the scripts which can help customers identify dependencies or if there are any gaps within the customer environment. We also fixed a few of the bugs in our particular process. And additionally, some of the key matrices around deployment and usage, that's something that we have planned as well. Eventually, with the HA offering, what customers would get would be a data backup and restoration support, a failover support, multiple AZ support, and definitely externally configurable load balancer. Um, so with Automate, I mean, the eventual idea within Automate is to really make Automate as the enterprise management hub for all the Chef solutions. And here again, we are starting with the with the introduction of the views related to the Chef server details, and initially we are just allowing the customers to view those information, and then eventually we want customers to edit those particular capabilities, which may be editing of cookbooks, environments, roles, and data packs. And then they eventually go on to manage their nodes as well for the Chef Infra Server from the Automate. So with this, what we want to eventually have is Automate being an end-to-end solution, which will have all the capabilities for managing Chef Infra. At the same time, it will continue to have, it will continue to enable customers manage their inspec, desktop, and app delivery as well. And it will kind of provide a unified experience that way. So with that, I will hand over to Lokesh for some of the key takeaways and key priorities that we have planned for the Chef compliance end.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. So with respect to Chef compliance ideally targets key use cases like audit for security or compliance with respect to CIS benchmark or STIC benchmarks, and then customers can monitor the CIS benchmarks or STIC benchmarks and then remediate if there is any deviations. So that is the ideal product offering we give for Chef compliance. And with respect to the features which we are developing for first half of 2020-21 on Chef premium content, we are planning to have an SLA. So whenever there is a new profile coming in CIS or STIC benchmark site, how frequently we are going to update that profile into, or how frequently we are going to deliver that profile, and once that profile is delivered, and when are we going to update that profile. So we are working on the SLA on that aspect. Second is like pilot for cloud compliance offering. So pilot for cloud compliance offering, meaning like we are planning to work on integration with AWS, GCP, Azure, and seamlessly with all the cloud platform, major cloud platforms to have the entire cloud compliance as a product suite. This is targeted for second half, but some of the work items have been started in the first half of 2021 itself. And then third, automate content generation process for CIS and STIC profiles. So whenever there is a CIS and STIC benchmarks provided by these benchmark service providers, so we'll pick the content and we see to that all these content are generated through an automatic fashion, and it's being delivered in the through an automated way. So that's with respect to Chef premium content. On Chef Automate side, that is the reporting aspect, we are planning to put a data path. So if there is any, if there are reports published in Automate, that reports can be easily plugged out of Automate and can be synced with ServiceNow or Splunk or Kibana. That's the use case on Chef Automate side. On the new capability side, so it's like again mentioned, like actively maintain cloud resource pack on AWS and GCP and Azure resource pack side. Second, it's like having a traditional content support on CAS and STIC platform. Third is on the SLA aspect whenever there is a new profile delivered. Next slide, Sharon. Yeah, so this is the current roadmap on traditional content, like on cloud resource pack side. What are we going to deliver from Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and Q1 22 and beyond? So from Jan to March, we have delivered MS SQL Server 2019, Apache Tomcat 9, on sys side. On stick side, like Windows 10, Windows 2019, we have delivered. Currently, April, May, the current quarter, we have key profiles like SLES 15, and MongoDB is like one of the critical profile we have delivered for top UK financial institution. And the other resource pack like Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Function Support, and then AWS EC2 resources. We are building 18 AWS EC2 resources for a pharmaceutical company in EMEA. And then the other key profiles like Ubuntu 20.04, it's another key ask from most of the customers. So on cloud resource pack, the other key items, it's like Ali Cloud, and also we are thinking of scoping in OCI as a cloud resource pack service, resource pack support. Yeah. Next slide, Shannon. Yeah. So what is the current strategy right now, and what are we going to do in the midterm, and what is the long-term solution? So currently we are fully focused on streamlining the traditional content side and on OS and application content, so for CS and stick benchmarks. And on midterm, we are planning to strengthen the cloud resources pack side, for AWS, GCP, and Azure. And then on long term, we are thinking of features on CNAP and CSP, cloud security postage management capability aspects. So these are long-term solution. And also we are thinking of limiting the frictions in the ease of use. That is the ideal long-term strategy we have. Yeah. Over to you, Sharon.
Sure. Thank you, Lokesh. So let me move on to the Chef Desktop aspect. So Chef Desktop, as I mentioned, is one of our newest offerings. And some of the features we are looking here is, and many of the capabilities would have been covered by the infra and the compliance. Because one of being very much closely aligned with Chef Infra, some of the new capabilities we want to introduce would be the bundle MDM solution. And this is specifically with respect to some of the latest changes in Big Search. What we figured out was MDM would need to be deployed or would need to be provided along with our desktop offering. So that's something that we are working on closely. Because it's a new offering, we are also looking to improve our Get Started guide. We are looking to improve the documentation aspects there. And from the Chef Infra, kind of dependency aspect, as I mentioned, native builds for Apple's new processor architecture have been provided. This is something which will help in increasing the performance on the systems. With MTLS support, this is same as the MTLS support in Chef Infra Server. This is more relevant for the endpoint security because more and more organizations are adopting remote work. It will help IT admins to really manage their IT in a very remote fashion, but at the same time in a very secure way. So those are some of the key capabilities that we are looking to introduce in Chef Desktop. With respect to Chef App Delivery, which is basically Habitat, where we are looking to automate capabilities for defining, packaging, and delivering apps for various environments. The Habitat team is currently working on enabling builder users to see notifications whenever some of the upstream packages are updated. They also get an audit trail whenever internal packages are promoted. We are also currently in the process of doing a refresh of our core plans, enabling customers to get the latest packages from the core origin. Apart from that, we are also working to make the get started patterns much simpler, making it easier for folks to get services bootstrapped on systems easily. We're also planning to spec out and drive work on ARM and Mac OS support sometime later in the year. But again, these plans could change depending upon the demand and some of the customer requirements. So as I initially covered, accessibility is one of the key aspects, and it is one of the key focus area for us as well. We are working towards maintaining US Section 508 compliance standards. We've published our accessibility statement policy. We've made it available on the website. We've also certified Automate with the VPAT standards, so that we are completely in alignment with Section 508 compliance standards. We also use a unified design language. This is specifically to help our customers to move from one part of the product to another part, so they don't have to relearn, or they pretty much have a seamless usage of newer features that we have introduced. Apart from that, if we even if we kind of generally introduce any newer capabilities, it would be easier for them to, have a similar component, similar patterns across the new capabilities. Again, an aspect that we are taking to help a smoother user experience. So a very quick summary of all the things that we have spoken about. And then I want to also call out the date for our ChefConf 2021. You're welcome to sign up and be the first to know when the registration actually opens for the ChefConf 2021. And some of the topics around security, compliance, continuous delivery, managing and automating distributed resources, and many other key topics would be covered within the ChefConf 2021.